Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdur Hussain. I'm enrolled in MPhil education from Sakkar IB University. The name of this subject is Foundation of Education, and our course moderator, course facilitator is Dr. Irfan Ahmad. So today in this presentation, I'm hereby presenting a very important philosophical doctrine, and its name is existentialism. Okay, now let's look into this, what this presentation is containing. So here I'm telling you the flow of the presentation, what I will be going to present before you. It is containing what it is and what it is not in existentialism. Then theoretical rationale, existentialism and education, then strength of existentialism and its weakness as well. So see what it is actually in existentialism and what is not in existentialism. This philosophical doctrine emphasizes that human free will. Now, human is basically, it's talk about when talk about human, it says that human is free to choose whatever he or she wants. Okay, so in this perspective, basically the course of actions basically which he takes, he himself basically decides by means of his actions where the human wants to go. There are not certain external factors which are influencing the will of man, rather the man is himself is responsible for producing the result out of his own action. Then human nature is chosen through life choices, so choices are there. We ourselves, according to existentialism, the humans themselves choose the choices what they basically feel that suitable for them, and by using those choices, picking those choices, they basically lead the life as per their want and need. And the person is best when struggling against their individual nature, fighting for life. So it is basically this existentialism want a man to see striving and fighting the internal conflicts around, and basically making its way by himself. Then decisions are not without stress and consequences. So basically, if for example the decisions are there, these should be taken with free mind, without thinking of consequences, without thinking of what would be the consequence of that, what will be the outcome of that. Rather, the decisions should be taken, and there must not be any the backside of the mind, the pressure and any stress. And the personal responsibility and the discipline is crucial, because once when it is very much clear that whatever we are producing, it is because of our own actions, so we have to be disciplined and we have to take the responsibility of our own action. This is what simply it is. And about the society, it is unnatural. Basically the religious and the secular rules are arbitrary, so basically they are controlling the man. Therefore basically these are enslaving the man into the shackles. And what it is not that the wealth, pleasure or honor make the good life. It is not basically included in that. It is existentialism denying this fact. And the social values and structure control the individual. Basically it is not included in that. And accept what is, and that is enough in life. It is the existentialism also denying this notion as well. Then it is also denying this notion that science can and will make everything better. This notion is having no any places in existentialism. And people are basically good but ruined by society or external forces. No, this notion is not finding the place in existentialism. And I want my way now, or it is not my fault mentality. This is also basically, what this existentialism denying this notion as well. So this is what basically it is, what is included in existentialism and what is not included in existentialism. So now let's see the metaphysical position of existentialism. So if you see the concept of God in with the metaphysical approach, the concept of God in existentialism, we believe that, and existentialism actually believe that the God exists and is all powerful. God created evil and at the same time good as well. But the other thing which is very interesting and thing in existentialism, which is also a twist in it, is that if God created evil and evil creates disaster, then there must be a command by God to stop this evil and to stop any evil action which is creating devastation in the world. But human is basically exercising the evil, and there is no any exercise from the God to stop that evil, and that evil is creating devastation, destruction in the world. So which means that God has limited control on evil. Or we can say that either God not all good, because God like evil as well, because as the goods are happening, the evils are also happening. and if they are happening, it means that God not all powerful and God is not all knowing. In the other context, we can also say that might be God does not exist or God is dead. If we talk about the concept of self, what is the position of man in this world? So existentialism believe that man is not alone in the world. Man is connected with the community. Definitely he has to communicate with the persons whom he is living with. So it is not possible to live in the state of anarchy. Therefore, the communication and the interaction with other humans is definitely basic need. However, man is product of his own choices. He has to choose whatever close to his needs and wants, his desires. So he has basically the liberty of choices, whatever the choice he made. He is therefore an individual who is different from other persons. An individual man is not bound to other men. So this is what basically the concept of God and concept of self in metaphysical context. And if we see the metaphysical position, it is very closely linked to one of the branches of metaphysics, that is basically anthropology, because in anthropology basically deals with the origins and the cultures of human and its specifications. So it is very close to that branch, and it is also very close to ontology. That is one of the approaches of ontology, that is subjectivism. So man is basically subjective. He can draw the conclusion, whatever the conclusion is very close to his choices. So ontology is also one of the basically approach this existentialism very close to. So now let's see the epistemological position of existentialism, that from which source of knowledge it is basically driving the source to reach to the knowledge. So it is basically based on phenomenological method. So phenomenological method is basically very close to empiricism as well, because those empirical method basically it is the method where we have to utilize our senses to observe the facts, though it is not entirely based on basically the science, as existentialism says that it is not basically the science answering all the questions we have in our mind, but at the same time it has a little bit reliance on empiricism as well. And the other thing, which is rationalism, it is also close to rationalism, means the rationalism is one of the sources of knowledge by means of which a ration or rationality, a logical connection can be drawn out of anything, out of any result, and we can basically deduce the result out of any experience which is close to our logical basically thinking, our logical understanding. So we can say that epistemologically it is driving its sources from empiricism and rationalism. So let's see the axiological position of existentialism. In existentialism, the ethics means basically the values. These are secondary. The values are basically a person can adopt as per his needs, as per his wants. The values are not fixed. These are basically different in different contexts. So values have a very subordinate importance in existentialism. And talking about aesthetics, it is also the same. Whatever basically suits to your need, and whatever basically the scene or the piece of literature or whatever the context, if it is providing you aesthetic pleasure, that is acceptable. So we can say that in existentialism there is not fixed criteria for the values, and at the same time for the beauty or ugliness. Now we talk about the aims of education in existentialism. So it aims to make a man subjective and should make him conscious for his individuality or self. So it is basically the aim of education is to make a man who must be subjective in his approach. He decides, he make his own choices, he should be free in terms of his will, and whatever suits to his needs, his approach, his faculty, he must make out of it. And there must be basically the promotion of liberal education and to build a character, to optimize potential and creativity. Similarly, to enhance the quality of life through knowledge, and to replace bureaucratization by humanization, and to develop in-person uniqueness, because every person is unique in his faculty and potential. That is why it is one of the thing, and to make man conscious of his destination, to give understanding of his being. This is what basically some aims of education in existentialism. So how should be the curriculum in existentialism? So there must be personal connections are of utmost significance. So there must basically, if there's a learning, it should be connected with the personal connections, and the major emphasis on humanities, math and natural sciences may be de-emphasized. These are basically the subjects, these are not the pivotal subjects in existentialism. Then vocational education as a means of teaching students. Arts encourages individuals' creativity and the imagination. So these basically sort of subjects where art subjects are there. These are given more importance in the curriculum when it is existentialism. Existentialism basically focus on project methods, activities, and problem. It focused on individuals. It emphasizes on personal freedom. So, student is free to carry out or to deduce whatever basically the result out of any experience he is experiencing. And teach science is to have the student live it. And favors the Socratic approach to teaching because it tests the inner light as a stethoscope sounds the heart. And it rejects the group method, teaching method I'm talking about, because in group dynamics the superiority of the group decisions over individual decisions is prominent, so therefore it rejects the group method. How should be a teacher in existentialism? So in this philosophical approach, a teacher should be more authentic. A teacher must be spiritual, having a critical attitude, having a clear sense of personal identity, and develop the personal identity of students, developing empathetic awareness towards each other, promoting individual learning, and helping students define their own essence by creating an environment in which they may freely choose their own preferred way. So, how should be the discipline when we talk about the existentialism? So, as the individuals are responsible for the consequences of their actions, so existentialism want to give full freedom to the child. Existentialism don't want the child to become selfish, autocratic, and irresponsible. Means child should take the responsibilities of the actions. Freedom is needed only for natural development. Then self-evaluation should be in existentialism, and it is the beginning and the end of the learning process as well. Child is freely growing, fearless, understanding individuals. Okay, how should be the school in existentialism? So it must provide an atmosphere where the individual develop in a healthy way, nurture self-discipline, and cultivate self-evaluation. And it must provide democracy as the soil in which the individual grows. So here we look into the strength and the weaknesses of existentialism. So the strengths are that the purpose of schooling is much broader than accumulation of subject matter. So it is not basically the students are only relying on to the subject matter which is available in the book, but basically away from the books they must gather the personal experiences and draw out the conclusion what they have learned. And then the end of education is personal growth that leads to self-actualization, and then self-actualization is basically making you more responsible and more basically accountable towards your action. And it emphasizes the concept of freedom, responsibility and choice, and human existence and quality of individual persons. So it basically actually imparting the uniqueness in the human, because the human is unique. If we see and compare the nature of humanity, every human is different from other. The demerits and the weaknesses are there, that no lifelong values of learner's choice. This is what existentialism traditions leads to multiple curricula. It is not a basically fixed curricula in it. And the learner's individual needs leads to individualism. That is also one of the problem. And then children may have tendencies towards natural goodness, but like all humans, they are also prone to capriciousness, short-sightedness, and the wrongdoing as well. And the rejection of subject matter sometimes leads to a curriculum that disconnect learners from their cultural heritage. So these basically are the weaknesses which are strongly rooted in existentialism. So with this, thank you so much. Whatever I presented, I hope you like the presentation and you have come to know that what are the main crux which are available in existentialism. Thank you so much.